I'll never forget seeing one of my dearest colleagues die at my side.
Victims of the Tucson shooting speaking out after the man who pulled the trigger is sentenced to life in prison. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Irvin. 7 life sentences plus 140 years. That's the sentence handed down today to Jared Lee Loughner. His shooting spree on January 8th of last year left 6 people dead, 13 others wounded, including Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Katie Rammel is anchoring our coverage today in Tucson. And Katie, we were following along as you tweeted from court today. It had to be an incredibly difficult day for everyone who lived through this, but I'm sure many of them absolutely insisted on being there.
They sure did. They said that long ago that they had planned to be there on this day, no matter what. Of course, no cameras allowed in there, as you mentioned, left to tweeting to describe what happened there. And it was really describing what is indescribable, victims confronting the person who tried to kill them. There was heartache and healing and love and loss and a whole lot of bravery here today. And then the lawyers and the victims spoke with us after court.
This is the very first time ever in my entire prosecutorial career where I've had to make a decision on a case where many of the murdered victims and wounded victims were personal friends of mine.
For 22 months, I've wanted to take him by the shoulders and shake him and scream at him. And that was my chance to do it.
I have a lot of empathy for Jared Loughner.
Because it was the end of a very long chapter, because it was 22 months to the day.
So you see a lot of different emotions there. I want to bring in ABC 15's Corey Rangel. They spoke about the 22 months that we've experienced. We've gotten to know a lot of the victims so well along this process, and I know it was moving for you as well to see them stand up in court and be able to do this here today. One of the people who grabbed our attention, I know, was Miss Stoddard, a woman in her late 70s, delicate on the outside and just a pillar of strength on the inside. When she got up there and spoke, tears were throughout the courtroom when she spoke, really, and she said, you've taken away my life, my love, my reason for living. I'm lonesome. No one to love me, care for me, and hold me. Can you imagine that? She said that directing it right there to Jared in the courtroom.
She looked at him the whole time, and she even told Loughner, when you shot him, he was saving my life. And she was talking about her husband. They've been married nearly 50 years, and she said that she could feel he was dying. But she ended it on a pretty remarkable note. She told Jared Loughner, quote, "I forgive you. I do not hate you. I hate the act you performed."
Yeah, a woman of deep faith, too, and I know that's carried her through it. We've talked with her throughout the past 22 months. And the other person that drew so many people's attention here today was Commander Mark Kelly, speaking on behalf of Gabby Giffords. Gabby there by his side, holding his arm as he spoke. One of the things I noticed is that her eyes did not leave Jared Loughner, and Jared Loughner did not leave watching her. He stared at her the entire time. And Mark Kelly went on to say, Gabby does more in a minute than most people do in their whole day. Just describing the real sheer loss that we've had here.
Right, and we want to read you part of what Mark Kelly told Jared Loughner. He said, "And there is what persists in Gabby, her love for the city, this state, and this country, her commitment to uplift us all, and her ability to lead. Mr. Loughner, you may have put a bullet through her head, but you haven't put a dent in her spirit and commitment to make the world a better place." And Loughner sat emotionless through most of it all. And Giffords, as Katie mentioned, looked at Loughner the whole time, and over his shoulder were his parents, and they broke down numerous times. As the victims actually talked to them, they told them that they did not blame him for this. Mary Reed brought her children to the Safeway, and she said that Loughner was 4 years older than her daughter, and she could not imagine what his parents were going through. And then Miss Stoddard also said that Loughner's family is not to blame. She puts no responsibility on them. And then Congressman Ron Barber also spoke. He said that he feels no animosity towards Loughner's parents. We caught up with him after court. Take a listen. All right, apparently we don't have the soundbite, but he said, he has no animosity towards the parents. He knows that, they had nothing to do with it. And after the victim spoke, the judge even had mentioned that the parents struggled with their son's mental illness and that they made attempts to help their son.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that hits home for so many people. You know, there are countless moms and dads watching right now going through the same thing, looking at their own children saying, is this something that could happen in our family?
And several times Loeffner's mother put her head in her lap because she was just so emotional. The dad was also very emotional. Just hard to watch them going through this as well.
Yes, definitely. And we want to mention one other thing as I send it back to you, Steve, in the studio. This is the first time in Arizona, this is a historic moment in the District of Arizona, that they have even allowed electronic devices in the courtroom like this. Obviously, no recording any video or audio, but we were able to take our viewers through this step by step as we were able to tweet and live blog from the courthouse. So maybe it's a sign of change in court proceedings and how we're able to cover them for folks at home.
Yeah, I think so many people lived through this tragedy and went through it. The
Yes.
cameras in the courtroom might have been something that would be an exception in this particular case. Katie, I know that a lot of the victims talked about resolution and the closing of a chapter, but not necessarily closure itself. For any of them, will they find closure? Are they saying at some point they'll be able to get beyond this?
You know, each of them in their own way has taken on a cause, if you will, stepped forward in some way to try to make a difference because of this and continue to work towards some progress, not only healing physically, but emotionally, mentally as well. And as we saw in the courtroom, each person spoke in a different manner. Some were angry and some were at peace. And it's just a testament to how we all heal from tragedy in our lives in all different ways. But there is a grand sense of hope. And as you expressed and as the judge expressed, this is really a sense of resolution and not closure.
Yeah, amazing that some people have the capacity to forgive in a case like this. Remarkable.
Yes, yes.
Katie and the rest of the team will, of course, be in Tucson gathering much more reaction after today's sentencing of Jared Loeffner. Look for more later on ABC 15 News at 6 and 10 or anytime on abc15.com.